Hey everybody, welcome back to Nicsminibikes. In this video, we're going to get our Tillotson 225, 240 build short block put together. So come along for the ride and let's get this slapped together. So in a previous video, we were filling out our paperwork here. We got a lot of our clearances figured out already. And then we took the block and we did a little bit of clearance work down here and up here. And that was the only places we needed clearance inside this block for the engine that we're building. So now we're ready to get this bottom end all put together. So the first thing we're going to do is knock our new bearing in. This is a double roller bearing. And this will go into the case right here. And we got our bearing and seal driver. And we'll use that to set that bearing in place. Then when you hear that sound change, you know that bearing is bottomed out. It's bore. You can double check it by looking at the back here. It's kind of hard to see, but you might be able to see it. Link for the bearing will be in the description below. Next, I have my oil seal, and we'll put it in the same way. Find one of our little discs that fit the outside pretty well. That's pretty good. Just make sure it's flush all the way around. You could heat up the case and freeze the bearing and get them in there, but I don't plan ahead that good to do that, so I don't do that. I just drive them in and they're fine. It doesn't hurt them as long as your driver is sitting on this race on the outside. When you drive it in, it doesn't hurt anything at all to do it that way. But there's our seal and our bearing in the case, and that is ready for a crankshaft almost. So I'm just gonna dump a little bit of oil on that bearing. Now we're ready for the crankshaft. All these parts have been washed. Everything is clean and ready to go together. So now we'll take our 59mm stroke crankshaft and it'll slide through that bearing. And this is why I like those bearings, is they got a little bit of play up and down. Well, it's not play. Those bearings will move in the race in more directions than just spinning. So you kind of get this action going on with them. And once you get the side cover on, it'll true up, make it straight and run true. So we're going to take this and set it to the side for now. And we'll pull out our piston. We got our wrist pin and clips, our piston, and our rings, which I have filed to the proper ring gaps. So we get our rings on. The first one we're going to do is our oil scraper ring. It's going to go in the bottom groove. Then you got two thinner rings. We'll get the bottom one put on. Just work it down slowly. Sometimes they'll fight you. Sometimes they'll just do exactly what you want. So just be patient and you'll get them where you want them. Let me get these rings on. I'll bring you right back. All right, so we got our piston rings on, and I like to clock them at 90. So one oil ring groove will be here. That means the other one I want over here. The middle ring will be over here, and the top ring will be 180 away from it. Then I just keep all gaps away from the wrist pin and the side skirts. So we'll try to land here, 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 and here. And then the oil scraper rings will be 180 out, and the compression rings will be 180 out from each other. That's how I like to do those. Is it right? I don't know. Just sounds good in my head, so that's what I go with. So there's our piston ready. Now we're ready for our connecting rod. This is the forged EC Carburetors piston. And this is the forged EC Carburetor connecting rod. And our crank is a forged crank from Big Block Clones. So we got our EC Carburetor connecting rod, our EC Carburetor piston. We got our instructions. I'm just reading these. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to read these again just because. All right, so on our piston, you have your arrow right there. That points down in the block, points towards your push rods. Your dipper points down, so the dipper and the arrow point the same direction, like so. You got your arrow down, your dipper down. So we measured our clearances for this rod here. I have it on my sheet over here, and we're well within spec. So we're just going to put a little bit of oil. We're just going to slide it in place. This is a very tight fit for this, so we might wrestle with this a little bit, especially now that our fingers are slippery. So I made a mistake. You have to put the rod and your wrist pin in before you do your piston rings. So I'm going to have to take these off and I'll have to put them back. All right, got our piston rings back off. Now we can put the connecting rod on. Pin still has oil on it. And now it pushes in. Snap ring pliers. We'll get our first ring put in there. Got that in. Pin pushed in the rest of the way. And our second clip. And there's our piston and rod put together. Now I'll get my rings put back on, and this will be ready to go into our short block assembly. All right, got my rings back on, got them reset to where I want them. Now we're ready to take this cap off. Our bearings are still in there from when we measured everything and cleaned everything. We put them back. So we'll just pull our bolts. And our piston will just go right in there. So I pulled my crank back out and I got some oil on my finger. I'm going to go ahead and just put a bunch of oil on the crank there. We'll put it back in. More oil on my finger and we'll get that cylinder wall good and covered. All the way around. And we'll get the side skirts of the piston rings all covered. Our Make sure my ring gaps are still in the right place. Got our piston ring compressor. Put it over the piston, just past the rings, and we'll get her snugged up. That as tight as we can. We'll just slide that back in. Put a bit of oil on our bearing there. And we'll slide this back in. Make sure that compressor is on your deck all the way. And we'll tap that piston in. And we'll spin that crank around. Pick up that connecting rod. Oil on it, dip her down, dots lined up. We'll dip our rod bolts in the oil. And we'll get them started. We're in the house today because the wind is blowing out there and it's supposed to be up to 20 miles an hour today. So we're just going to get these snug down with a regular ratchet here. So I didn't check my clearances this time because I checked them before and I got 3/4. The video of measuring and checking tolerances will be in the description. All right, so we're going to follow EC's torquing procedure. The only thing I'm going to change is I'm going to start at 30. They want you to start at 60. I'm going to start at 30. So I got my torque wrench set to 30 inch-pounds. We're just going to start with that. That's where I like to start. Then we'll jump to 60. And they want you to go up 15 inch-pounds until you hit 150. So since I started at 30, my next one's going to be at 45. And that's just a slow back and forth process here. We're not in any hurry. $45, and then we'll go to 60. And 75. And we'll go to 90. 105. 120. 135. And 150. We got that torqued in there. It still spins, so we know we got enough clearance, and that is not a problem, so that's nice. Next part we have to put in are some billet lifters. These things are really nice. So we'll get these oiled up and slid into their bores. All oiled up, slide it into the bore. Next we got our cam. It's a small engines cam, a 315 lift. So we're gonna put some oil on the journal here and the lobes. All those clearances have been checked. I know I'm not gonna hit anything inside, so we're good. Just lube it up, line up our timing marks, and slide the cam right in. Oil on this side, a little bit of oil on the gears here. All right, so the next step that we're gonna do is we'll be fitting our billet side cover here. This is an EC billet side cover. We will be using studs, but for now, we're just gonna go with some regular bolts for now. The first thing we're gonna do to get this on there is fit it with our O-ring. So we're just gonna start at the very top, probably right in the middle of this straight here, and we'll just start pressing that O-ring in and making our way all the way around. So this is going to take a little while, so I'll work this in and I'll get it installed, and then I'll bring you back before I do the trimming on it. Alright, so we got that O-ring put in all the way around. Now we're just going to trim back our O-ring. And now those two ends should meet pretty good right at the top. We're all done with that. We'll just set it over here. Alright, so we got our solid dowels in there. And we'll slide the side cover on. And we're just going to torque down 2 bolts to spec for now. And we'll measure our side play. Got our torque wrench set to 17 foot-pounds. 17 foot-pounds. Now we'll measure that end play. Crankshaft all the way in. 0. Crankshaft out. We're at 19. Can you see that? Probably not because of the light, but you just have to take my word for it. We're at 19 thou. We'd like that 10 or lower, so we'll come back apart and get a spacer in there, maybe a 10 thou spacer. So I got a whole bunch of crankshaft spacers here. I got anywhere from 4 to 10.5. So here's one of my 10.5s. I have it written on there. Looks like it's going to measure 10 this time around. So we're going to put this 10.5 thousand spacer, put our side cover back on, retorque it. I'll bring you back once I'm ready to check the end play again. All right, we're set back up again after putting that 10 thou shim in. Just zero this out, shove it out this way. We're getting 7 to 8, which is a little on the tight side, but I think I'm okay with that. We'll call that good. So I do have a spot on my sheets here for my in play. So we will get that written in there. The hole spacing either on the block or the side cover is off just enough to where this one wants to fight me all the time. So I'm just going to use a little bit of red Loctite on these because I don't want them going anywhere. All right, we got all of our studs installed. Some went in a little further than others, but they're about the same. And now we're ready to get our nuts put on there. So word on the street is if you're using studs, you don't have to go as tight. We're still going to take them to 17. And I'm going to do that in 3 steps. I'm going to go 5, 10, 17, and we'll follow our normal torquing sequence. So there's 5, now we'll go to 10. Now we'll go right to 17. So we got that torque down to 17 foot-pounds. I just picked up this torque wrench. Don't know how I feel about that yet. So we can get some plugs put in the drains here so we're not making a mess. There's a little bit of oil in there. So now that we have this together in its final configuration, we can measure and check our deck clearance. So we get that piston top dead center, like so. We do have piston rock, so we're going to rock the top out, zero my gauge. We're right at 0 deck, and the bottom, we're right at 0 deck there too. So my compression ratio is going to be through the roof on this thing at a 0 deck. So I'm going to find the thickest head gasket I can find, and I'll get that ordered, and then we'll continue on this. So that's going to do it for this episode of Nicsminibikes. We got this Tillotson 225 240 stroker engine short block put together. Normally I'd be super happy with the 0 deck like that, but with the shred head I have, that's going to be something like almost 14-to-1 compression. It's outrageous. I'll put it on the screen what it would be with the 10 thou head gasket. We at least got to go with a 30 on here anyway. I might look for a 42 or a 45 thou head gasket, and maybe I need a different head. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look, do some research and figure it out. But that's our short block. It's coming along really nice. I like it a lot. It's looking good. If you haven't yet, hit that link down in the description. Go check out our merchandise. We got hats, shirts, hoodies, all kinds of cool stuff to help support the channel. Go check it out. And as always, make sure you like, share, comment, hype the video, and subscribe. It's free for you and it helps us out. We appreciate you being here, and we'll catch you on the next one.